Hey everyone, Bill here with TVPhotoTips. Today I'm just going to do a quick little review of the new GoPro Hero 9. So I literally just got the GoPro Hero 9 shipped to me, and I'm going to take just a first glance at it, and then we're going to do a little comparison thing between the 8 and the 9 and maybe some older models. I'm not going to go into a lot of the tech specifics because you can look those up and read those, but just a couple of first impressions. I'm going to put a couple tests into it for some more practical type of uses for the GoPro, at least that I would normally do, and perhaps you as well. Here is the Hero 9 packaging. I actually got the special bundle for a couple reasons I'll go to in a moment here as I take this out. This looks like it came in a case here. Included have a memory card that is a 32 gigabyte card. Yep. Part of the bundle is this clip. It's actually a pretty strong grip to it, and it looks like it could fit pretty snug. Looks like they included 2 shoe mounts. I'm sure that you can use old models as well. There's a shoe mount and the 2 clips, along with the screws that put everything together. Kit also includes a floating handle, so I could use this in the water. It's supposed to let my GoPro float so it doesn't drop to the bottom of the lake or ocean, whatever. And then part of the reason I got the new bundle is because it's supposed to come with new batteries, and supposedly these are a different size than the older models. I think 4 through 8 is when they change the battery. Also have a standard charge cord, but this does not seem to have the USB base that you can plug into the wall. But by now, you probably have 100 of those things lying around your house, so not really necessary. And the feature attraction, the GoPro Hero 9. First impressions, definitely feels bigger than the Hero 8. I'm not sure how it compares in size to older versions. Going to continue to look around the Hero 9. On the front here is supposed to be your main microphone. Power button. This is not a door. This is supposed to be a drain for when you get wet, and it's supposed to help the water come off the microphone here. So do not try to open this. In fact, online it says this is not a door. Do not try to open. Basic screen on the back, and then this is the compartment for the battery and for your memory card, and also the charge port, transfer port, recorder button on top, and on the bottom these are where your prongs are for it to put it on the mounts. If you don't have the 8 or an older model, that's a new feature, so you don't need to use the frame anymore. New feature on the 9 is this is supposed to be a front-facing view screen. I don't know how that's going to work because it looks pretty square. It does not look 16 by 9 like it does on the back, but this would be nice for so you can look to see what your shot looks like without having to get behind if it's up against a wall or your app just isn't cooperating. This is the 9, and over here is my Hero 8. So comparing sizes, it's the 9 is a little bit taller. It's a little bit thicker. And it's just bigger on all sides. One feature that's nice that they brought back is on the Hero 5 at least, and 5 to 7 is you can take off this protective covering off your lens. The 8, you cannot do that. It is built in, so if this gets scratched, you have to replace your entire case. So it's nice to see them bring this back because it's definitely a lot cheaper if you had to replace this front lens cover versus the entire case. And as I mentioned, part of the reason why I felt I needed to get the bundle is because these batteries are supposed to be different than older models. So this model was new with the 8, and this model is current with the 9. You can use the 8 batteries, and I believe it's 4 through 8. The size is the same. So if you had like a battery from a GoPro 5 like I do, I could swap those batteries, but these are clearly different sizes. So the new battery is too big to fit in the older models, and the older models are too small to fit. A little more for size comparison. This is the 5, that's the 8, and that's the 9. So it looks like GoPros are kind of going the way of cell phones, where they kept getting smaller and smaller, and now they're getting bigger and bigger. Just a quick first impression on the look and the feel of the 9. Now I'm going to put it to some test and see how that goes. First, don't let the continuity fool you. Yes, I did get a haircut. It's a day or so later from when I got my GoPro. Wanted to make sure I charged the batteries and played with a few things as I went. One thing I've not tested yet is, so one thing I do countless times is I've used my GoPro as a secondary camera for like a wide shot, for like long interviews to kind of cut back and forth. And when I do that, I'll hook up my GoPro to an external power source. Something I did not have a problem with in older models before I got my 8 was the battery would charge while I record it. After I got the 8, I noticed, and at least in the 8, the batteries would not charge as I was recording with an external source or if it was plugged into the wall. So now I'm going to test that, see if they fix that in the 9, because that's actually a very nice feature to have, particularly when you're having low batteries, but you still need to keep recording, and you might have to record after. Basically, this is a setup I would kind of use as I have an external power source hooked up to my GoPro for extra power, for long interviews. And I don't know how well this is going to focus here, but I am in fact charging here. I've not hit record yet, but it is charging. So I'm going to hit record and see what happens. And nope, the battery is not charging, it appears, which is unfortunate because, as I said, that was a very nice feature. Again, unfortunately, the GoPro will not charge the battery while it's recording. But on to test 2, overheating. I've been having a problem lately with my GoPro 8 of it overheating if I'm recording for a long period of time, like 45 minutes, an hour or so, which is a pain because it'll automatically shut down and I have to start recording and I'm messing with it when I should be concentrating on my interview. So I'm going to set up my 8 here and my 9 to see if I can get them to overheat. Same kind of process. Here's my setup right now. I have my 8 and my 9. 9 is on an exterior power source. My 8 is plugged into the wall. I've been having problems with overheating on my 8 in situations where I'm just recording for long periods of time. For the setup, I'm going to record at the highest I can go on this, which is 4 on my 8, which is a 4K, 60 frames a second. And on the 9, it offers a 5K now at 30 frames a second. So I'm going to go the highest I can on this just to see if I can get that overheat issue I've been having with my 8. Basically, I'm going to hit record and let this go for an hour, 2 hours. Each card has 2 hours, so we'll see how it is. And record 8 and record 9. All right, we'll come back in 2 hours to see how this goes. About a half hour into my recordings here, and thought I'd just kind of check on things. They are starting to feel a little warm, so I grabbed my temperature gun here, and I'm going to just kind of see what they say. On the 8, it says it's 111 degrees, and on the 9, getting 92. So they are warming up, but yeah, this 8 is definitely a lot warmer. I wonder how much longer it'll be till it shuts down. Actually, as I was standing here, my GoPro 8 just shut down. It said camera too hot. Screen popped up, yellow screen, and it shut down. And the 9 is still recording at 37 minutes is what it's saying. So I'm about 1 hour into my recording here. I'm going to check the temperature here for the 9. It is saying 109. Not really in focus, but it's saying 109, which The GoPro 8 shut down at 111 degrees. So I'm just going to keep a close eye on this. See what happens here. It's plugged in, but it's saying that the battery has dropped 4%, but it should still be plugged in here. Full disclosure here, after my hour check-in, when the battery dropped or whatever, I did some things where I tried unplugging my power source and plugging it back in and whatever. Somehow I got some sort of weird error thing, and I shut down and it said no battery and no memory card, and so I kind of did a reset where I unplugged and took out the battery and then did a power it back on, and it seems like it's working like normal again. So I don't know what that was about, but I'm back to recording. I already recorded a little over an hour, and now I'm back recording another minute or so in. So we'll keep this going, see what happens. Checking in on my camera, and the media card is full. It's been about 2 hours and 15 minutes, and my GoPro did not shut down from overheating. It does feel warm. My GoPro 8, again, that shut down after 37 minutes from overheating. So that's a good sign. Other than that little hiccup I had, it might have kept going, and at some point, I'm not sure what happened, but it was being powered externally, and then it seemed like it stopped taking the external and only went off the battery power. I'm not sure why that happened, but that happened before the hour marker, I believe. Next test here is going to be a water test, not necessarily for depth or anything, but how it's going to affect the audio. They did a new thing with the earlier models of the GoPro where they say it's kind of like the eardrum in your ear, where it just the water comes off of it easier. So I'm just going to see how the 9 reacts compared to the 8 when it comes to that. This is going to be a pretty simple test. I just got my GoPro recording in a bucket of water. I'm going to just submerge the 8 here just for a second, make sure it gets nice and submerged. Water gets everywhere it needs to. And now audio check with the 8 with water. I'll check with the 8. Now the same test with the 9. Just gonna put that in the water. The water wherever it needs to go. Okay. And audio check on the 9. Audio check on the 9. I was curious to try out the audio for the 9 after being submerged in water for 2 reasons. One is on older GoPros, I kind of got burned with the audio coming out of water after like snorkeling, swimming, whatever the case is, because that wasn't dry until I learned I had to blow air in here. And the other reason on the 9 is because, as I showed you earlier, this thing here, as I said, this is not a door that's supposed to help with the draining for the microphone. Then the microphone is right here. And that seemed to work like a breeze, because it seemed like the audio I was able to use pretty much instantly after I pulled it out of the water for the 9, which is a nice improvement. For my last test here, we're going to try out the Hyper Smooth Boost option. For this, I put my 8 with my 9 together like so, 9 on the top, 8 on the bottom. First, I'm going to record the video without it turned on, and then we're going to turn it on both. Now, to note, on the 8, the highest you can go is 4K, 30 frames per second, but on the 9, you can go up to 5K at 30 frames a second. Alright, so I'm going to shoot both cameras simultaneously here with the Hyper Smooth Boost turned off. For the first one here, we've got to do a normal walking type thing here. Both cameras are at 4K, 30 frames per second. And for fun, I'm going to take the cameras and just give them a shake to see what they look like. I've now turned on the Hyper Smooth Boost for both cameras. Again, recording at 4K, 30 frames per second. And I'm going to come up here, same spot pretty much, and I'm going to shake the cameras again. So just playing around here, a few improvements that I've noticed. or so it seems, is one thing that they did with the 8 was they made these built-in mounts. They can be replaced if something breaks, but the built-in now, they fold up. Showed you earlier. One thing they did is on the 8, you can kind of see how much give can be there on that. On the 9, there's not as much give, so they seem like they have improved that somehow. Something that GoPro added a few versions ago is a digital zoom. The GoPro 8, I noticed, the highest quality I can shoot is a 2.7K to get that digital zoom option. But meanwhile, on the 9, a vast improvement is on the 5K. Now you can do that. I don't know how often you would do that. A lot of times I would digitally just do the zoom and edit, but that's an option that is available, as I said, up to 5K now. Again, just playing on. One thing that I definitely noticed between the 9 and the 8 here is the vast improvement on this side door. On the 8, this thing just drives me nuts because one of the first things I noticed when I got this is very hard to open this latch. If you have an 8, you know what I'm talking about. But then the door here just comes off so easily, and I'm always afraid I'm going to lose this dang thing. So I'm just always paranoid about it. On the 9, this door, if it does come off, it seems to have a lot more give. You have to put a lot more effort into it. I'm not going to try to because I don't know if it's supposed to come off or not. But it just doesn't pop off nearly as easily if it's supposed to as the 8 was. The other vast improvement here is this latch here. It's spring loaded now. It's not just a switch. And so I can just push this and it locks. Meanwhile, on the 8, if I push that, then I then have to push this in. So that is very helpful. It's a lot faster, and again, this little thing, it's a lot easier for me to open this. And there's the 8. I had to open this quite a few times to loosen this up after I first got it. Trying to get a better view here so you can see this latch on the 9, how much bigger this grip is, so you can get your nail in there to open that up as compared to the 8. I had so much difficulty the first time I got my 8 because I just cannot get this trigger or this latch to open. I just cannot get my nail in there very well. So it's good to see this extra lip on there. You have no idea how happy I am to see this. And after playing with my GoPro for a few days and going through some tests and looking through the video I shot for this, just a quick overall positives, negatives, or not necessarily negatives, but still room for improvement, things to go over. First, positive, the battery seems to last a little bit longer than the original. I'm not exactly sure, I did not do a full test on that. But also the downside on that is the battery is a different size than it was in between the 4 and the 8. So that kind of throws you off a little bit. If you had the 8, they already improved the battery on that, but at least that was the same size, so you could still swap those. Now you have to buy completely different batteries. So kind of a give and take on that for the better battery. Again, I've not had the overheating issue that I was getting on the 8, so I was able to record for a long period of time without the camera overheating and shutting down, even at room temperature. The boost stabilization seemed to be just as good or an improvement from the 8. The 8, I think, had Hyper Smooth for a 2.0, and the 9 they're saying is a 3. Another improvement was the water seemed to come off the microphone faster or better than it did on the 8, so I was able to use my audio recording right away after I took the water out of the, or after I took the camera out of the water. So that's an improvement if you're the type of person who might be swimming a lot and use the audio from that. Also don't have to blow into the microphone to clean that up. I also like the improvement on the slide on the side door with that latch with the bigger grip. Also, the door doesn't come off as easily, so I appreciate that. And with that, I also haven't had any software issues of having to take out the battery to reset. I've had a problem before where I was swimming where with the 8, I was worried about that door coming off while I was swimming, and then I had to take the battery out while I was trying to keep it all above water to keep it dry. So I have not had that issue having to reset on the 9. The improved mounts here are great. It doesn't shake as much off the base from the mounts that come out of the bottom, as opposed to there's a lot of give there on the 8 again. And then this front viewfinder on the 9 is proving to be pretty useful thus far. And if you want, I did find there's a setting, you can look at this at 4:3 or it'll be 16:9. That's a setting that you can do in. And you can also change the length of how long this is up to match the back, or it can be its own setting. So if you want this to turn off after a minute and to never turn off the back, that's an option. Things like that. Now, areas, negatives, or I should say places for improvement. One is when you're recording, you can't watch an app preview at all from my experience thus far. So after you hit record, it just goes to a blank screen on your phone that just says preview not available. Same thing on a view back after I hit record. The highest setting that I seem to be able to watch at is 4K 30 frames per second. Anything in 5K I cannot watch back. 4K at 60 frames per second I can't watch back, and even if it's a lower quality at a higher frame rate I can't watch back. I haven't checked all of the settings, but it just seems higher than 4K 30 frames per second I can't watch back. And again, a feature that I really miss is you cannot charge while you shoot, which was a nice feature to have while you could. So if you were powering your GoPro from an external source and you were recording, you used to be able to charge the battery at the same time. Now you can't do that. And to reiterate again, kind of a negative is the battery, because it's a different size, so you have to buy all brand new batteries, which is part of the reason why I got the kit, because it came with one spare battery. And while I was at it, I bought another battery with an external charger or separate charger, just because I wanted to make sure I had enough batteries. But that's a quick review of, well, I should say quick, it was supposed to be quick. But I want to thank you for joining me. I'm Bill. You've been watching TVPhotoTips for a quick review of the GoPro Hero 9. I hope you find this useful. Overall, I'm really liking the upgrades that they've had compared to the 8. So I'm happy with this purchase so far. We'll see how things go after some more use, but so far, positive. But I want to thank you for joining me. I'm Bill, TVPhotoTips. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time. Good luck and have fun.